This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, folks. Time being 4:46, I'd like to call this meeting of January 30th, 2025 to order. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have the review of January 2nd. The 16th is not ready yet. Scott, you want to have him to come up?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think these are corrected ones.
I think so, from what I read.
Yeah. She wasn't quite ready. She was working on the last minute stuff. She's on her way.
Okay, thank you.
And I did tell Madam Chair, Dave Krause, 5 o'clock. So,
Okay,
although I have 5:15 on the agenda, so
oh, you did tell him 5,
I did. Yeah.
and you told Kim 5?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
There's a little spelling error on the agenda there for Miss Souls.
Oh,
Anybody have any corrections on the January 2nd minutes?
No, just that spelling error, I think it was.
No, that's on the agenda here. Where's the spelling error that you have?
missed it.
Start this with you?
Nope. It was on the other one. It was on
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
They had corrected it.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as corrected, January 2nd, 2025.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Kim, you just have a few minutes because we double booked to the same person for
Okay.
you.
All right, no problem. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can? Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, talking about 2025 transfer station decals. It came to our attention that there's still a lot more fraud than I had ever expected. And last year, Becky and I were really kind of jerks in that we really made sure people had IDs.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this in time. We stopped the press. We were able to get the decals. It's right there. You could look at it and also send it to Pat. We asked them to leave a white spot where the concept is you can write in the person's license plate number.
Mm-hmm.
Now, monitoring it. Last year, what we wanted to see, we really wanted to see they were Tilton residents, that they qualified for these decals. Last year, they were handed out at the transfer station, and the guys were stuck trying to put that together. This year, what we would like to see, these are our ideas, let me know what you want and don't want. We feel it should come out of our office only. We want to, people are going to love us, but they already do. I'm going to want to see a registration and their driver's license.
Mhm.
The registration, I will take the plate number and write it on the decal.
Mhm.
What I am even thinking of doing, I do want to, we're going to do a check mark on the registration next to the plate number so that we know that somebody has received a decal.
Mhm.
And one of the questions that comes up, and we can talk about this in a minute, is if we've issued a decal and someone comes in, oh, I lost it. Do you want to, how much forgiveness are we going to have? Are we going to have a second one available? Think that over. What we do with regular decals from the state is we staple them to the actual registration. That way, when they walk out, we know they have decals. They can't say, oh, you never stapled decal. I never got my state decals. We can even, depending on what you think of this, because we're just still working it together, also staple that transfer station decal onto the registration so that we know they've got one. In addition to checking off so that if they come in and say, I didn't get one, we can say, well, yes, you did. I can see that we had attached it there. I spoke with Shane on this. He thinks it'll work. Now all the guys will need to do is they're going to have to get up, unfortunately, and go out and check the registration to the
Vehicle.
reg to the decal. But I think that will work well for them. It'll take a lot of the pressure off.
But
What-
does that mean that the decal has to match the?
The license plate, yeah.
Okay, so what happens if the person then? Never mind, I answered my own question. I was thinking about a truck versus using the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Them using the trailer, and they use a different vehicle using the trailer. They would have to register the truck too. So I answered my own question. Never mind.
I like it, Kim.
Okay, so don't stop yet. A point I did want to make as I drove back and forth, made a run to home today, is my decal stays there all year. It doesn't fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times do you hear, oh, it fell off? It just fell off. Well, I am here to say, and again, I don't know how much more to be a jerk about it, but it's going to be a second chance thing again. And this is something you need to figure out. If it's 2 strikes, you're out, or you've got your decal for the year, and I'm sorry. Because we're going to hear, oh, mine fell off.
How much do they cost, Kim?
Oh, I would have to look. I didn't come prepared for that. A minimum is 1,000, and that we have to order. And it's going to be about, I better not make it up. I can run down and run back up.
No,
and
that's
tell you
not
because I
important.
honestly
but
don't remember.
We're so used to giving them
Mhm.
at no cost
Right?
the stickers.
Yep.
Now, correct.
Right.
Okay.
They're less than 50 cents each
Thank you. I know you're there. You are.
for the static ones.
Right, the static ones. Okay, so then this brings up a question of out of state. What we do with other things like vital records is we require a photocopy of a driver's license. Well, actually, in land use, you need to supply records now. We would like a photocopy of their driver's license and a copy of their registration. We also, if it's not, there's a situation where if you have a car and you leave it in New Hampshire and register it in New Hampshire, you can do that. That'll be the easy ones. The folks who do not live here but come up on the weekends are going to love this because the only way they can do this now is by mail. We need to monitor that so that we're not just handing them out once again. So I want to see their registration and their driver's license.
Mhm.
And then let us know what your Tilton property are. The next question that comes out is, and that, Pat, you probably answered this for me. Do you want to limit the amount of decals per household? Or do you want to just one per vehicle no matter what? And then the second part of that is, do you want to have it limited or any amount to New Hampshire residents versus people coming in from out of state? Do you want to limit the numbers of ones going out of state? And I don't know on that.
No, Eric, go ahead.
So I think, thank you for doing all this.
Mhm.
I appreciate it. I would keep it as simple as possible.
Mhm.
So we have a small place in Wells.
Yep.
You go in, you show them your registration, they give you your decal, they write your plate number on it, and that's the decal you get.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Every vehicle has their own decal.
Yep.
They don't fall off if you put them on, right?
Yeah.
And if we have an issue of somebody that is losing them,
Mhm.
charge them a fee. I don't see that. We don't want to overcomplicate this,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
I'm sorry, but we shouldn't.
I
We should
agree
keep it
completely.
as simple as possible. It works in other towns. We're not having to worry about mailing them out to different people, wondering about whether they're out of state or not.
Mhm.
If they come in, they show residency here in New Hampshire,
Mhm.
as far as Tilton.
Yep.
Right. So
Mhm.
if you have your out of staters that have a second home here in
Yep.
Tilton, they show us the registration
Mhm.
that has either a bill
Mhm.
of
Right.
their
Right.
household,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And or a registration. More than likely, they'll probably just show you a mailing address,
Sure.
right? So like, if they have a small house in Tilton that's
Right.
from, they're out of state.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
You're going to have very few of those anyways.
Mhm.
I think we keep it simple.
Mhm.
They get the sticker when they come in, they show you registration.
Yep.
Do it at the time you get your vehicle registration.
It's exactly when I'm
Just-
talking of doing it.
Yep. That would be the most simplistic
stop.
thing. Yeah.
Or come in if it's out of cycle. November people want to come in now, for example.
Yep.
But and so that makes sense. What was I going to ask about that? I'm thinking of out-of-staters that call up and say, "Well, I'm only here on weekends,"
Yep.
and that's going to be where we're going to need to do it by mail.
Yep. So I think if you have people that only come on the weekends,
Right.
And then you could do it by mail,
Mhm.
but I would suggest that they have to show some type of proof of residency here. Like we
Tax
need,
card,
we need something that shows
it's
that
property
they
owner.
have
Right. Right.
It's not so much residency as
It's a property owner. That
property
is
owner.
correct.
right, exactly.
Has to be in their name.
Right. It has to be
Yes.
in their name. Exactly. It's got to match up, and a copy of their driver's license, and that
Yep.
way we know it's the
Yes.
person
Yeah, it's
who's
not.
requesting.
I don't think
it.
you're being hard on this. I think this is something that should have been done a long time ago. I
Mhm.
think in talking with the DPW guys and seeing it myself
Mhm.
over the years of going there,
Yep.
you see a lot of people from different towns trying to come in and dump stuff until everybody knows they try to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we keep it simple.
Mhm.
They get the sticker when they register the vehicle.
Mhm.
Any additional ones if they and I wouldn't worry about household if someone has 4 different vehicles and they
Mhm.
want to put one on each vehicle, as long as they have the 4
Bring in the
registrations,
registrations.
I'm
Exactly.
fine with that. But it's when we, if they keep coming in and saying, "Oh,
Right.
I
Right.
lost one."
But we have contractors who have fleets of vehicles.
Yep.
I think we should limit it to 2 or 3 per property.
Can you give me an example?
Dawson's Concrete,
How many rigs do they have? Like
1,
8?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12.
Are the vehicles registered in Dawson Concrete?
They're registered to Dawson's Concrete.
Beautiful, because that way we can.
Well, that's what I mean. So,
Right.
why would a property owner need, why would Dawson's Concrete need 12 dump stickers,
So,
especially when there's curbside pickup?
yeah. Oh, I agree with you.
I didn't think we allowed commercial.
We're not supposed to allow that. No, it depends on what we
Allow
get
that for what?
for business.
Right. Commercial entities to take things down to the transfer station. But
I'd have to look at the ordinance, but I was just going to suggest one thing, maybe
I'm a
consider,
property owner and as Dawson's Concrete, I'm a property owner. I'm entitled to dispose of my trash. It doesn't mean I can take a dump truck full of
right.
concrete down there. Do you see what I mean? But I have a pickup truck.
I was just going to recommend maybe consider the adhesive stickers as
Yeah.
opposed to the static stickers.
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
like the static ones.
Well, the adhesives won't fall off.
I,
But
But
as
any
long
case-
as the registration number is on the sticker, that's the most important thing.
adhesive
Because that
ones, you have
tells
to,
us that's taxpayer, that's a taxpayer from the town of Tilton, and they're using the facility that their taxes pay for.
Mhm.
That's the most important thing. But I do
Right.
think we should limit the number of stickers for property.
2?
we have 3 vehicles in my household. And all 3 vehicles go to the transfer at some point in time.
Problem with per property is if you have an address and you have, let's say, 3 apartments or that, and people come in at different dates, how would Kim be able to look up to see who's gotten them? She'd have to look up each registration, whether it's been issued or not.
Right.
That's why I think
It's property owner.
that's why I think even if you, so like I have 4 vehicles at my house. We have my wife's, the one that's going to be my daughter's, my son's, and my truck. And I only get one because I go myself. But if I brought in I get my registrations. If I want to put one on each vehicle, as long as I have that registration and it's written with the license plate, I think you should be able to get one.
Okay.
And I understand what you're saying, right? Because we want
Right.
to try to lower the cost of how many we're buying and stuff like that. But
You could lower it to 2 because that would make it easier. Like in our situation, we have one vehicle that goes more than the other, and then we have one that's hooked up to the trailer if it were amnesty week. So it's easy peasy. So, okay, board, answer the questions.
You
Kim.
limit it to 4. That's reasonable.
All right, what was the first question, Kim?
My last question, I don't remember if I asked this one or not. Okay, we're going to check next to the license plate number on the reg so that we know they've given them one.
Yeah,
And we, at this point, if it's a chronic problem, then we'll consider charging.
correct.
We'll need to determine that
Yep.
then.
Well,
Okay.
let's back up and get consensus on the board because you need consensus to do all of this.
Okay,
Right.
and I'm going to
Yeah.
bring one more point up. Is it okay?
Okay, go
Last
ahead.
but not least, all 4 vehicles, we'll say, are in Eric's name. We know who Eric is. If Eric's wife comes in with her ID and all 4 registrations, am I able, as long as I know it's his wife type thing, am I able to issue those, or do I need the person who owns the registration to be there?
No,
No, 'cause
No, I
you're
don't-
putting the license
fine.
plate number on it,
On the
right?
front.
right, you're putting the license plate on it.
I think
It's
you're
going to
doing your
registration.
job and you're doing it well, and you
Yeah.
know the person.
Hmm.
That's why you're the
Okay.
town clerk.
Yeah.
And this is intended to discourage as much as possible,
Exactly.
no matter
Yep.
what, there's going to
Right.
be loopholes.
As long as you know the people.
There's going to be somebody that's going to try to get around
There
it.
will.
Right.
Imagine
Right.
the difference on
But
Amnesty Week.
I will say, this past fall when I went up, I did go to the dump in Wells and I talked to them, the guy up there, and he said that this works very well.
Okay,
He said, we
perfect.
don't, they go in, they match the license
Good.
plate to the
Yep.
plate that's on your vehicle.
Yep.
And then you go in.
Perfect.
And then on your way out, you do whatever you need to do. But
Okay, do you have all the answers that you need from the board?
I believe I do. We are going to reissue out of state we talked about. And did we determine we wanted to limit it to 4? I think that's the biggest question
Board,
that I'm unclear on myself.
do you want
I
to
think
limit
one
it?
per registration, and because it will be hard for you to look up
Mhm.
whether or not how many vehicles already come through a probe or to
One-
yeah,
dates.
and I think we can revisit this We do
Okay.
it this way for 1 year.
Start
See
for
how
now.
it works.
Good,
Kim can come
perfect.
back and let us know, hey,
What
This-
worked, what didn't?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. One per registration.
Perfect. All right.
And I think
Here.
as the chronic, if you have a chronic one, or something like that, I think that bring it back to the board. If in
Okay.
6 months you say, look, I'm getting like multiple people coming in and saying, hey, I can't find it, I lost it, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then I think that's when we can probably revisit and say, all right, you know what, we're going to charge a fee
Okay.
if you're going to keep coming in because you're losing them.
Okay.
I mean,
Sound like a plan?
All right.
Thank you, Kim. That was a lot
Yeah.
of work.
it was.
Thank you
Thank
for-
you very
My
much.
pleasure.
And Kim,
Yeah,
thank
she
you
did.
for taking it onto your office, solely onto your office to do this as well.
Well, at this stage,
It
it
does
makes
make
sense,
sense.
and
It
I don't,
does.
the guys do enough,
Right.
God bless. I think I've earned a Snickers, however.
Yep.
Oh, yes,
well,
please.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Here, you can have a kiss too.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Kim. Next on our agenda is Dave Krause, who is coming up with the fire station
Survey.
survey, hopefully.
I don't think Dave needs any introduction.
Parking lot.
What? What do you mean?
You're not doing both?
Madam Chair, I did ask Dave to come, just, there were a couple of questions, and because of my lack of history knowledge, a few things, and I wanted to make sure that we got the final copy so that we could also address the parking issue that the fire department wants to address in the near future. So,
We have copies?
No. Tim, do you have a small copy you can put up on the? Okay.
I didn't bring my
No.
phone.
Okay.
Print out one?
I don't think we have.
It got sent to by email.
Is,
Is that where I saw it in the email?
I don't believe that we
I
did.
got two. This one doesn't have the notes, but it has all the,
Do I have to promise not to scribble on it?
no, you can scribble on it all you want. Sure, if you want.
Do we have we don't have a small one? Now, how did I look at it?
I thought one got sent
It went
out,
through
no?
the
Yeah.
email, I'm sure, because I sent one to.
Dave, did you send me one? A
Yes,
draft? Yes.
we got a
I thought-
draft.
I did
one.
look at it through email. Can we copy that off?
Let's see.
My questions for you specifically had to do with the naming of the street. The street names have kind of changed over the years.
Well, a number of years ago, and I forgot the term now, I'd have to get out the road book. We took the two roads, made it official that they were town roads. Pat, do you remember when that was? It's
Got it.
quite a while ago.
A long time ago when I first
Tryon
came on.
Rescue?
Oh, Tryon Rescue was probably 2012, 13.
Yeah. So those are officially town roads.
I was gonna say, they were laid out by the town.
Do you have a copy of it,
Right,
Eric?
but they weren't,
But they were not Tryon and Rescue Road.
it got cloudy. Let's put it this way.
Okay. 'cause
The church tried to claim them and abutters tried to claim them, so we officially.
I found it in our email.
Nice, can we print it out?
Yep, he's gonna pull it.
We officially, they're town roads.
Thank you.
did
Hands down,
I thought so,
town roads.
but it's not in my book either.
The question would be, what do you want to show as the name of the roads?
Oh, it's in the road book. What is it? Tryon
Tryon
Lane,
and Rescue Road.
Rescue Road. Rescue Road is out
Hmm.
on the west side.
Coming out from the fire
Tryon
station,
is in on the
other
east side.
side,
Right.
where Nickels and Dimes is.
Okay, those are not on your tax maps, I don't think.
They're not on the tax map.
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so. They're on the road names, but
I'm having a problem with the tax map. the best weeks, so just excuse me.
So we'll talk about the tax maps in a bit, Catherine, all right?
Did you
Oh,
get it,
yeah,
Tim?
we don't have to go on.
Getting
I
it.
kept making a note.
But just this small area here is the parcel that was surveyed. The Tuscan Hill property over here, there's a magenta line that kind of goes around through. That was the area that was roped off. I know it's hard for everybody.
Two-step authentication. I
So
love
what
it.
was surveyed?
This piece in here,
So do we know where the boundary is here?
that goes probably over to here.
Where is the,
This is the fire station.
right, so do we know where this boundary is?
That boundary is over here.
Tim, I'm trying to
Fire
find it here.
station.
too.
I got it right here. I just had to sign in.
90 feet, thereabouts lot.
So
You're telling me the fire station owns this?
fire station owns what?
The parking over to the right.
Couple spaces over.
Not all of it.
Couple spaces.
90 feet across the front.
So that they own this?
Not all of it.
That's not historical.
They have
Not historical. They
spots
only
here,
own
1, 2,
3
3, 4,
spaces.
something like that. Yep.
Which
and this
six
is the line we were looking
spaces?
for. Yep. Okay. Or no, this one over here actually.
I was gonna say, that was
Yep,
the
that
original
the
line.
one. Yep, that's the line. That's when we went out there. You could see the transition, the different pavement. You know what I mean? You could see the drop off, and we just had a hard time. There was a post that someone had cut off in this area, and then we tried to. It's tracks. It's hard to find, and that's where we're trying to figure out that line so we can see. Fire department to have access, but that's why the surveying started.
What does this represent?
That represents an 1800 survey that was done for the church. And it was one of the best pieces of information out there. You know, there were buildings here, as you guys probably all know.
Yeah.
The descriptions are occasionally tied to the buildings, which are no longer there, which is a bit of a challenge.
Do you have like a pointer?
Listen, we need to let Dave talk and only one talk at one time.
So this was, I believe, where the Tilton box factory used to be, if you're going back early. But all these lots came out of the Tiltons, either Charles or Alexander. But this was the church piece. I do have, excuse me, Pat. This is a reduced copy of that survey in 2 pieces.
So,
So that was the church coming over for what is in the deed for the fire department, gets you to over here, your property and this property. And it all fits together relatively well for the information that's back there.
so the church doesn't own this is for certain.
It's what?
Does not own this. This is now Tryon Lane.
Did the town do a taking or a road layout?
We did, I forgot what it's called that we did. I got the expression. Like I said, I'd have to dig out.
It wasn't a layout or, I mean, to my understanding,
It
you
was
would,
basically a taking, if you will. We had maintained it over, I don't know how many years, decades. And took it. You can no longer do that now. The state doesn't allow it.
Prescriptive?
Prescriptive. The state no longer allows you to take a road that way.
but is there any record of that at the registry
I was
or
just gonna
anything in
say
your?
It's in our road book. We went through the meetings and public hearings and whatnot.
Okay.
So that information is in the road book.
Well, I didn't work over that far as much since I know, our discussion was that was the
Right.
concern,
Right, at that side, right.
the immediate concern.
Well, it wasn't just the parking lot. It was, the fire district, where's their boundaries? We wanted to know where our boundaries were back there. Because right now, It doesn't, so our Center Street runs all the way out through here,
All the way to School Street.
all the way to School Street.
And maybe that was because when this was laid out, it was to here and there.
Right, and now it's to here.
Originally, when it was laid out, he was saying.
And we have a parking lot here
Yep.
and here.
Right.
And as I said, and a parking lot over here somewhere. Oh, Town of Tilton, I see it. And Cecile Roberts evidently has an ingress egress right of way onto that town property.
In her deed, is it?
I don't know, but so those are the things that I was hoping we would clear up with this.
Okay, that was not, you know,
Yeah,
when
relate
we
to, right.
talked, this was the issue of concern.
Yeah, with the,
No, that's not what we discussed at the selectmen's meeting. I mean, that was one of it, but the rest of it was,
That was just one piece that
Was one
was
part.
talked
The
about
rest of it was
because
the
it
rest.
was of importance at the time because of Tuscan Hill Properties
well,
and
that,
for that line.
Mm-hmm.
but that
in
was
line.
one,
That was just one of it, but we also wanted the other side of the fire station line. Actually, I guess we voted all around the church and above to the municipal properties surveyed.
Okay, well, that
That
was
was-
not,
and that was prior to me, so.
yeah.
That's correct, that was.
that was
prior to you.
before Scott, yeah, that wasn't, that's not on you at all. So, yeah, we wanted to know, what do we own back there?
I mean, I can certainly do that. I've got a lot of the research done for part of it. But it would be good to get what you have for the roads and also for the rest of Church Street.
Center Street. Center Street. Not Church.
Center Street's over here.
No, this is Center Street.
Center Street used to go all the way to the academy.
Right.
Yeah, Center Street now has bollards.
So Center Street used to be Church Street Center Street used to be Church Street, and now Center Street is only over here now.
No, Center Street used to be there because it went down through the center of it all. It connected Main Street to Academy.
Mhm.
That was Church Street for obvious reasons. Now, Center Street no longer goes through. Center Street goes around, goes straight through to school.
So for all intents and purposes, we've identified the Tuscan Hill property,
Mm-hmm.
and it really didn't vary much at all.
Didn't vary at all, did it?
I mean, I was
You've
varied from
identified
what
this.
was roped off. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they were all good.
Pretty much the same, okay.
Does it go to the state right of way for the railroad?
Their property? Or-
Tuscan Hills.
Yeah, they butt up to the railroad,
They do about the railroad. Okay,
as do all the properties there.
Do
okay.
they go all the way down to these spots here, or does it stop?
It goes down to those spots there.
Yes, because they gave us, although we don't have any paperwork on it yet, they gave us these two spots here, the handicap.
I was gonna say, there's cars that park down there too. I don't know if
What's that, Dave?
there's cars that park down here as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, they're not supposed to.
And that was one of the other questions I had. I was able to get 2 of the markers in, but because of the number of vehicles that are parked there, I've been there 3 times and there's always cars there. So at some point, I'll have to go back and set those other 2 markers if you want, or depending upon how this goes further and what's going on with the fire precinct, that may not have to happen.
Dave and I had conversation and I had suggested that he wait until the weather gets a little better. And hopefully, maybe at some point those cars,
It's balmy out there.
yeah.
Yesterday was.
I'm getting used to it.
I was gonna say, there was a trailer parked there each
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
What are the,
Yep.
so now that we have Dave here explicitly with the board, what is it that we want on the other side for him to do?
I think we need to locate the boundaries of the Tilton properties between School Street and
Center Street.
We need to know where our boundaries are. And this one in particular, too. And we had a conversation about this, and it looks like our boundary is way out here.
Yes.
Where are you pointing to, Catherine?
Church Street.
Church
behind
Street,
the,
okay, I got it.
The wall,
Yep. The wall, right.
so.
The wall, the brick wall.
It's
I don't know
a
what it is
tiny,
now. It used to be brick. Is it
yeah.
brick still?
yep.
I think there's sawhorses or something, there's something out there.
There's a drain there.
Do you know these widths?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, this will change, but I suspect that probably will not.
No, I'm going to say those are 25 and 28 and a half.
And it looks like the boundary goes into the district.
It does
building.
appear that, yes.
It goes what?
Goes into the district building, fire district building.
When was that? Does
Yeah.
anybody know when that structure was? Because it used to be a much smaller.
This one,
Yeah.
yeah, they added on that, as you face it to the west, that's an add-on.
Hmm.
Hasn't changed.
Used to be the
whole-
rescue
That's
day.
definitely an add-on.
So basically, you guys are looking for 44 would be added. 43 is the fire department. I don't know where those dimensions come from, but
Yeah, problem.
well, that was the other problem too. This is the Tuscan lot, and it's 90 feet. I'm not sure how they got separated into two. Would put your piece over here, and then the fire department. And then their lots. You want those two roads done as well, or are you not concerned with those?
Well, I think that whatever we have for a survey should accurately show those roads, since they're part of this stuff. Don't you think?
I think if we're going to do it, we do it accurately.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, going forward, we have it.
I was gonna say, I just want to make sure you're gonna get what you want, you know?
Madam Chair, could I just
Mhm.
address an issue? I do not believe that was in Dave's original contract, so we will have to
Mhm.
make sure that
Yep.
we're
I'm pretty sure that some of this isn't going to be in
Okay.
his contract.
okay. So
I think
just so we know
I
what-
think he's aware of that too.
okay.
I'm very aware.
Yep.
I just want to make sure we address
Dave's
it.
used to us.
Yeah.
Yep.
But do you have any other questions while I'm here?
What other numbers are we gonna need to make sure we're getting it most accurate on that?
As far as the tax lots?
Yeah.
I mean, I think just 44, 42 was done. And by doing 44 and adding that on, you'll have the fire district basically. And then which one's which, do you know?
I believe the eastern one is Tryon, and the western one is Rescue.
Yes. Coming out of the
And
fire
they're
station is
One ways.
is rescue.
Rescue Road and Tryon Lane, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. The chief knows, so.
Are these through here all right of ways for the road?
I thought I did, but I,
The corridor, yeah.
okay.
It's actually, I would
Which is-
believe state
yeah.
corridor now. State DOT, state
Yes,
rail
they
and
own them.
transit.
You're right.
No, we're not there yet.
If there's typically a setback from railroad tracks, we'd like to have another 10 feet. property.
Their right of way is the setback.
Yeah, there,
Well, if you look here.
But
it
you're
goes
talking
here,
about reducing it potentially.
Yeah, reducing the right
Yeah.
of way, because if you look here, they're showing all the way up to here. And
And I will
I'm
say,
just wondering, and then here it's even closer.
yeah, at least in here, that's the edge of the gravel, which is like the top of bank. It's kind of a steep bank behind the fire station.
Yeah.
But as you come
As
down,
go up there, it gets,
so I mean, I think there's probably a better chance of you doing that down here than over there.
It's all really interesting because like Center Street goes right, and then we have a parking lot here and here.
So Center Street was added after. So I'll have to go back through the road records because when Church
Right,
Street was laid out, it didn't go as you can see, there used to be a building back there. And then the horse sheds, the horse sheds used to be up here, which is what a lot of the deeds were tied to. Which I was able to figure out from the Sanborn maps for the town.
Are these Reynolds?
Hmm?
Are these from Reynolds?
No, Sanborn was an insurance company. And
Oh.
they're called the Sanborn Fire Maps, and they were done periodically.
Aren't those interesting?
Hence Sanborn News, Catherine.
Yes.
It was downtown.
I would watch those closely, Dave.
Those?
Yeah.
Oh, they're available at the Library of Congress. You can have them, yeah.
There you go.
But I put the date down in the corner there on the sheets.
We really can have these?
Yeah.
You made her day.
You can print out cleaner copies than that, but
No, this is good. Thank you.
they're available. All their records, I think for New Hampshire, are at Dartmouth as well. The library.
At the
they
library.
call them the Sanborn maps?
Yeah, there's Sanborn Insurance Company. And they have details as to what the buildings were because they had different insurance rates,
Yeah.
obviously.
Right.
That's interesting.
But they were only done in the developed parts of town.
I have a lot of maps of I forgot what they used to call the factories along the river. They didn't call them factories. Those are interesting.
Mills? No.
But those for Tilton, the first one I think I printed out the first one. It was just one sheet.
Yeah.
And they're not 100% accurate, but they're very interesting and they do provide
I
some
bet
help.
they are.
Cool.
All right.
Interesting.
But
Any other questions for Dave? Well,
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
thank you, Dave. Appreciate you coming in, taking the
you.
time.
Thank you.
next time I'll have lots of copies.
Appreciate it.
You must know an awful lot about towns with all the research you do.
You can find out a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Dave.
How much they've changed.
That's going to be his next endeavor, a historian.
Every surveyor is a little bit of a historian.
Yeah.
You have to figure all that out.
Yeah. Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I got to do the work first.
All right, next on our list is Selectmen's report. John, you're up first.
I don't have anything.
None?
No, just
Okay.
waiting for spring.
Okay, Catherine, do you have anything?
Not much. I wanted an update on the bridge. We were gonna gather information on exact total costs. Like if we have to close it at night and they have to work at night, blah, blah, blah. Do we have those costs?
You were talking about the Island Bridge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're meeting with them on Tuesday. I've invited the chief, so at your next meeting, we shall have hopefully a contract and a understanding of kind of a schedule if you can.
Well,
I'd
will
like,
we have a total cost?
right now we're at 630, Tim, for the bridge. You remember his,
How did we get there?
that was,
Well, they laid that out the last time.
yeah. Yeah, it was, crane costs were separate. Crane costs were 80,000 a day, so that was 160, and we were at 512, so it was 632,
Mhm.
I believe, is where we were tentatively. It wasn't a commitment, and that was off-site rebuilding, returning, putting it back together, and then redecking the wood base. But the crane costs were not in there. Because both Tim and I almost fell off the chair when we heard what the cost of craning is.
You want my copy, Catherine?
No, I saw my notes earlier. I don't see them now. I thought we had 675 available to us.
Correct.
We do.
Okay, and so now we need to know what the cost is going to be. It sounds like we'll have to close it at night.
That's my understanding from the Deputy Commissioner of DOT.
Okay,
So-
so you're going to find out those costs Tuesday?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
what I'm hoping is Thursday we'll have the final costs. I
Right.
know they're estimates and projections.
Right.
But
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We brought the chief in on the conversation. Tim had reached out to him and asked him. We still have to figure out, because there's an issue getting a tractor trailer up 132 and making the turn at the top onto School Street. So we're going to have to discuss that too. So hopefully we'll have a semi-formal plan. So
yeah,
unless you're a good tractor trailer
I'd like
driver.
to sit there and watch that turn. I have a hard time with the trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you have it blocked off, how far on Laconia Road are you gonna?
They'd have to go up to the school and turn around in the parking lot and come back down and go
Yeah.
straight down.
yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't make that turn.
I
Okay.
talked to a bus driver who said that left turn was not a turnable.
You
Okay.
cannot make that turn.
All right,
with a tractor
because-
Trust me, you cannot make it on a 55-plus school bus. You cannot make it.
Imagine if we had a rotary in there now.
All right, so next Thursday, hopefully we'll have all of this tied up so we can,
I hope to
Very
have
sore.
some good hard numbers. And
town meeting's coming up.
yeah, it is. I know. That's what, and as you know, the federal grant money was off the
Damn good
table,
checks.
on the table, off the table, whatever it is now. But so we were obviously, I wrote to Senator Shaheen's office. I was going to talk to you about that in my report. So,
Okay.
So.
All right, and the other is Selectmen's meetings. I think right now we meet, what, second and fourth?
first and third.
First and
First
third,
and third.
First and third, whatever it is.
close.
Why don't we just meet every other week?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just,
well, I brought that up before. It was a little bit difficult with the scheduling on the calendar, I think, and that's what was mentioned, because if you do it first and third and stuff like that, but,
There's 5,
and I was, every other week is good, but.
there are months with 5 Tuesdays
Right.
in it, and we have to backtrack and
right.
things
So if we
like
just
that.
meet every other week,
We don't have that problem. Correct.
be easier?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So moved.
so moved. So
Second.
seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And I'm good. We're gonna do town properties later, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
That's it? You're all done?
I'm all done. Thank you.
Eric?
I don't have anything. I'm just waiting to hear some updates from Scott and Tim. So, yeah,
Okay.
good.
I just have one, and it's the senior center. They are doing a fundraiser for the first responders. All the money proceeds go out to the first responders to help for emergency fire shelters, hydration packs, wildland brush tools, and 24/7 meals for the exhausted crews working around the clock to contain and put out their fires. And it's this Saturday, February 1st, from 1 to 4 at the Senior Center. It's a chowder fest, and tickets are $10 for adults and $5 for children 12 and under. So if you can help support the Senior Center trying to do a good deed, stop by. Tax maps. Learned a lot about them and how they get changed. Just got 2023 updated to what was changed only in land use. So it gets sent to CAI Technologies, but it's what the responsibilities are filling out the forms and keeping them all year, and then at the end of the year, 2 times a year, you send it to CAI Technologies and Technologies with the documents to supporting documents. But I noticed in the last couple of meetings, in Selectmen's meetings, I noticed it in the another meeting that we had not too long ago about another road that we had. They're not getting updated, and who updates those? So really, we need the supporting documents to do that, and something like that old, Tryon Lane and Rescue Road, we need to research that and go back, because that does need to be updated.
Well, how far do you need to go back? Because
Well,
when we took them,
we
if you
need,
will,
yep.
prescriptive, that's in the road book.
So,
Well, it should be.
but is that the only necessary document? I'm thinking in my head now, just only because I'm only sitting here now thinking, because you said it's in the road book, but is the document in the road book the only necessary document that we have to support changing it in the map?
Well,
So
hopefully
we think about that.
town administrator at the time had a file of what took place, because we were required
Mm-hmm.
to go through a process, public hearings, notifications, which we did. And then they became officially town roads, which
Right.
we maintain and take care of, which we have.
Right.
I don't know how much information was put in the road book, but you wouldn't necessarily have to go before we took them, because when we took them prescriptively, it was because we had been maintaining them, which is what allowed a community to do that.
Right.
So it didn't matter what they were before. It is interesting that you can't do that anymore, but we got her done before the law changed.
But have they been updated?
I would say
We've taken a couple of properties by deed, And one of them is, like a beach, which has an easement going down, which is sort of kind of a road.
Well, I think there's several properties that own that beach right, don't they?
7 of
What
them.
it is, it's an access to the water. I don't know if I'd call that a beach, if you've seen it.
Well, I know.
But
I have seen it, but other people are
it wouldn't
calling it a
change
beach.
anything on the. I don't know how those right of ways are listed on the tax map. I don't know how, but it's there's quite a few of them down in that area. We just happen to own an access that other people do as well. It just gives us the right to walk down there and use that water, but you've got to, scale down a little cliff.
There was another one that you had mentioned that needs to be researched, and I can't remember the name. When I was online, you had mentioned it. I'll go back and look at it. And I said I would research it for you, because that is the purview that I work under. But
Is that Chuck, the one, Madam Chair, is that the one Chuck handed me today, the last one on like Windsor Road or no? Okay.
no, it's not. And it was different from what I had heard before. But these are names that are coming up, and these are different things that are coming up related to the changing of the tax map.
Tax map.
And it's an interesting education that I'm learning. I have all of 2024 ready to go, but did we change any roads or anything like that? But it's all set, ready to go.
Oh, I know what you were talking about, Bamford Brook.
Bamford
Bamford Brook,
that's what
that's
it
it.
was.
That was
Yeah.
changed by town meeting. So historically, it was Bamford Brook. They were the first settlers of that area. My family happens to own the Bamford Cemetery. And that's where my father is, because he wanted to be with those, which has nothing to do with this. But so it was called Bamford Brook. If you go back and look at the old maps, you'll see Bamford Brook. Back when 911 started,
Mhm.
people that preceded us decided to change the name of it to Winding Hill Brook.
Okay.
In town meeting, I have no idea how long ago. Probably within 25, 30 years. Town meeting voted to change it back to Bamford Brook. It has never been changed in our records. And I have brought it up multiple times ad nauseum in the past 24 years.
So it still says Winding.
Winding Hill Brook. And when I looked at Ken Norton's application, I was.
That's where I got it.
Oh,
And it's-
that's where it
And
came
it's
from.
not,
Okay.
Ken
All right.
copied it from our records. It's our mistake, not his. But I was so disappointed.
Mhm.
It's Bamford Brook, named after those first settlers of our town. Well, one group of first settlers. Our town has multiple sides.
Okay, I got it.
So that's what it was.
Okay. All right, well, that ends mine, and we'll go from there right on to the town administrator's report.
I saw John passing payroll and AP along. We do need some signatures on that. In your packets, in the envelope, is our auditor's annual sign-off letter that we do need to get back. As some of you saw today, and I don't try to load your emails, but keep you informed. We went back and forth on the DOT Board of Selectmen meeting. because they want to make sure that Jason Ayotte is the person instrumental in updating the 10-year plan for the town of Tilton. And we want to make sure that Jason is here to be able to explain how far he's come and what's anticipated in the future. So we have tentatively agreed on March 6th because Jason couldn't be here on the 20th. So I did send you notices. Again, I think it would be advantageous for the board to write down any questions you think of and bring them to that meeting. And we will be having it here. I did explain that it's a public meeting. They had no issues with that at all. So,
So they want the board's questions, but what about the public's questions?
actually, yeah, they'll be glad to answer the public's questions too.
No,
Just
but they wanted the board's questions in advance.
not
No,
Have public questions.
yeah.
just asking us to write them down.
Yeah, just so you remember, what you want to talk about. I'm sure you will, but
Oh, I thought you
yeah,
wanted them.
no,
you
not in
wanted them
advance.
from us to give to them in advance.
No,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
no,
mine are written
not
down.
at all. No,
Been
they're
written down for weeks.
very good, and
We're going to publicize this now for the public, right?
it'll be part of our agenda item. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
We talked about when we had this meeting, we were going to advertise it out there
Yeah.
using the police sign and the, what's it called, Facebook.
Right. Well, I thought
Those
we
avenues to get the public here.
kind of moved away from that the last discussion.
That was the
I mean,
purpose.
I told him it was a public meeting, but
That was the purpose of the meeting,
mm,
was for the public.
mm,
The purpose of the meeting was for New Hampshire DOT
mm,
and for us to meet with New Hampshire DOT because of all of the projects that are
Correct.
going on up on Route 3.
Well, maybe that's what it's become, but that's not
That-
what I asked for this meeting.
I get that
And it
you
was
asked
the
for this meeting.
result of
Right.
having the public come to me and ask me questions about Route 3 and 11 that I can't answer.
And that was my second half that you just answered. And the second half of that was that the public had some questions, so that's why we made it public to the public.
right.
So
And people will be here. I
Yeah,
assume.
I mean,
we'll be
So
here.
this
So
meeting is not what I asked for.
Hmm.
I just want that on record. This meeting has evolved into something that's not what it was supposed to be, but that's okay. That's okay. I will invite the public myself.
Mhm.
well, we
If
can.
we're not going to advertise for it, I will.
Okay.
I think we could still put something out there on our town.
Yeah. And if I might add this,
why can't we advertise it? I don't understand why we're not
Right.
well,
advertising it.
what DOT's concern was to me was that developers and all those folks are going to come in and overtake the questions. I relayed to them that the board, my board, had questions about whether DOT was aware of all of the current growth and of potential growth along Route 3, because Catherine, what I recall you saying was many questions were asked of you if the state was aware of what was going on. So,
No, that's not what I said, but that's okay.
okay.
But
all
there
right,
are
well,
developers that are, the developers on Route 3
right,
know what's going on way before
right,
others. So
yeah,
they know, and if they have any questions, they come in and ask.
Sure.
So why would they come to a
And
selectmen's meeting at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. at night on a
Right.
Thursday night when when it's open to public and have to fight with the public to get a hand raised?
mm, right.
I understand that. John, you have a question? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Eric.
I do think it should be advertised, and I think to the point of if we're gonna, if DOT is worried about developers coming in and taking over meetings with these questions,
The chair will take care of it.
exactly, right? And that's so I mean, I think we exactly. So I think we can quell that.
Yep.
That's, I mean, we can definitely keep it on task.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
So, and if DOT is worried about that, I'm sorry, but the reality is we want them to come in. We want them to answer some questions. We want to have an open discussion about what's going on Route 3. You know, we want to know about their plans, right? And I think you're going to find that a vast majority of anybody that shows up from the public is going to want to listen more than ask a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're just curious, right? They want to know. I mean, they drive the road every day.
Yeah.
So that, and I do think, Scott, that we will be okay with being able to shut that down.
Right. I do too. I just, what I wanted the board to know was they were unclear on, you know, I guess they thought it was an onslaught of, you know, developers coming in. And so I made it clear that obviously that the objective is to get questions answered, make sure we're informed.
Yeah.
And as to what their, you know, thoughts are and you know, vice versa. So it was more a line of communication, which I began to open when I started looking at the Island Bridge stuff, because I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to dig up areas and fix the bridge and then have the state come in right behind us and rip it up. So,
Exactly.
so Tim and I had that was the focus of the initial meeting. And then I had suggested to the board, this board, that we sit down and talk to them because I wasn't sure that they were aware of what our planning department was seeing for potential development and growth and how it was going to impact Route 3.
Yeah.
So I think that's the consensus of this. And by all means, I don't think they were trying to keep the public from asking questions or developers. But I think what the commissioner said to me was very clear was, you know, we answer to you folks, meaning the town of Tilton, and the developers answer to you folks, the town of Tilton. So they ask you the questions, and at some point in time when it becomes important or as it relates to their property or roads, then at that point they enjoin. So as the land use office does now, and I guess what I heard from, if you call it a criticism, was a previous land use coordinator didn't always work with DOT or District 3 folks when development came in here. So so we've since bridged that with a new land use coordinator, and that already is paying homage. So
no, I think that's good.
Go ahead, John.
And it's not specifically for the development that's coming
You
in.
need to talk in the mic, John.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
It's not specifically for the developments that are coming in. It's all the way up to the Winnisquam Bridge, that whole corridor. As we know, if stuff around the lake starts growing, are they planning to do any widening down there, the bridges, and the whole traffic thing for the whole corridor of Route 3 and
Route 3.
11?
Yeah.
'Cause, 25 years from now, that road's going to be, so are they thinking about that? And we want to know, because those things as we do things, especially up where it starts getting narrow up the end, we're going to make sure that they get that out to us, that they have plans on this right away.
Right.
Right.
Careful, they'll bring back the bypass project.
Oh yeah, remember that?
Oh yeah.
1966,
Wow.
Franklin, Laconia.
But they're going to put a tunnel in Winnisquam or something.
And John, just so you're aware, Jason Ayotte, who is the person in charge of all of what you just, without rehashing what you just said, he is going to, in fact, do that. That's going to be his presentation. That's why he emailed me today and said, I can't be there on the 20th. Can we do it another day? Because the commissioner wants me to be able to update the Board of Selectmen on exactly all of that.
So one more point was, so we just changed it to alternating days. Did we just switch it to a day that's not March 6th?
No, because
As it falls.
no, I don't think we did. Because I think that's
That's
right.
when they can all meet, right?
March
So
6th.
we should accommodate them.
Yes,
No.
yes. Thank
Should
you.
accommodate them. If we have to have an extra meeting, let's just
Right?
do
So
it.
this one.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
yeah, I do. Yep.
I've been watching your scheduling.
Yeah, I know. I
I
know.
wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only thing,
It's,
Catherine, it did, if we were to start as of today with every other, then we would be on the opposite schedule of,
We'll just have a meeting that night. Just
March
for that.
6th.
yeah,
Yep.
so March 6th.
Well, I didn't-
Yeah. And that's all that'll be on the agenda.
Because we have a meeting tonight, so that's just, so it
We'll
would put
just-
us now the
We'll just
second.
throw in an extra meeting in March.
Okay,
Plus,
Which
plus
does
the
not
chief
change the
needs to
schedule.
talk to you sometime.
Well, like I said,
And a public hearing on the
I'm watching
20th.
his schedule.
And the public hearing on the 20th.
so quick question on that, Madam Chair. Do we need to change that on the calendar for the town website?
Oh, yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So every other week, starting the 6th.
Yes.
With a special meeting on March, starting the 6th?
Yeah, we'll start on the 6th, I would think, right?
If you start on the 6th, it falls in line with everything that we have.
Yeah. Perfect.
Until
Lovely.
we have an extra week,
Till we have an extra week.
Right,
and that shifts.
yeah, and then it's just, but
That's all right.
3 years, it changes back.
As long as it works. And Scott
We'll make
doesn't-
it work.
Doesn't have to try to schedule all those people again.
Oh my
Jesus,
God.
bro,
okay, all right.
it's crazy.
That it for you or
No.
town report?
No, I got a couple more. Sorry.
Academy Street.
Yeah, standing committees, Robert Jean, the board has asked me, he will be here on February 6th, next Thursday, he's interested in the planning board. He did fill out an application. And just to let the board know, I have been reaching out to some folks to help fill the vacancies for like budget committee and that stuff.
Well, budget committee, they need to come in and sign up for the board.
Yeah,
Because that's an
yeah.
elected position.
Yeah, and Tim and I have reached out to a gentleman who was here for the public budget committee meeting. He told me he's coming in tomorrow to sign up, so.
Okay.
With the exception of Lockmere Village District budget, I don't think we have pretty much covered, so.
Good.
Let's not discourage budget committee people, because
No.
if they miss signing up on the board, the budget committee can appoint.
Correct, right.
Right.
I'm gonna skip the Island Bridge and just tell you, because I already told you we're meeting next Tuesday. The DOT Board of Selectmen meeting, Academy Street, Tim, myself, Shane, Brian Pitsakis from McFarland Johnson met with John Chase on Wednesday, I believe it was, of last week. John Chase, I had reached out to John after talking to the Board of Selectmen to say, listen, we really want to make this go for the town meeting. It's going to be a warrant article, so we need your cooperation. John had some questions. So Brian from McFarland Johnson was gracious enough to come in. The short version of this meeting is that there's some questions on what the agreement between the board and the commissioners, the water commissioners, as it related to repairing the entire wall, including a 49-foot piece that is part of the a water district border or the wall that had not been included in the McFarland Johnson price, and was not relayed that was part of, to McFarland Johnson. It was not part of the request. So that will be additional cost to do that section. Tim and I discussed at length asking the water district to obviously participate in some of the improvement costs of that section, that 49-foot piece. And John Chase was going to check with the commissioners, get back to me, and we're going to hopefully move forward so that we can get this on.
Yeah.
Tim, you've got the history, so.
Well, there were a couple of other things. So there's always been this issue of their water line that's in the street. It's one of their mains. It's an 8-inch, and after reviewing the engineering report, John was concerned about compaction with the line, and that that the line might have to be replaced. They're going to put in a temporary line when the work's being done, and so after some discussion, because a new line would be somewhere in the $75,000 cost area, and this to them is considered a new line in water line ages. And he seemed to indicate that they view the entire issue with Academy Street as not being attributable to them, meaning it's attributable to us. But he said the line itself, it's practically new. It's only 24 years old. And so I asked, well, why can't you just, take the line out if you're going to have a temporary line in, and then reinstall the line? So this was discussed. That would be much, much less cost. But in my view, the issue of this has to be a shared project. The issue of the line really should be borne by them, I think. Then they can make sure it's however they want it. And in talking with the engineer, Brian explained that they could take another look at how the cut could be done by the contractor, and so there'd be less impact to the line itself. And it was all compaction is what John Chase was concerned about. So the bottom line was that if they did have to do something with the line, rather than in a brand new line being put in, it could be some, taking out this line and putting in 2 sections that would reattach it. And then they'd also have to bear the costs of the testing and sanitizing the line, so on and so forth. But in any event, the other piece of it, this other section of the wall that Scott was referring to, this was not in our bid with Academy Street, because this is on the Water District's property further down, where it doesn't have the same, at least in I think the engineer's opinion and our opinion, doesn't have the same issues. But the Water District would like it fixed at the same time. The cost that came back was $110,000. So my take is, if they want it fixed, go right ahead. But it's not going to be on our dime.
We don't have any agreement with the Water District to fix that wall or any wall.
No. So the agreement that's been kicked back and forth mostly concerns, there's no more bond in it. That was taken out. There's the 3-year guarantee of issues with their water line was reduced to a year. There's still some issues. There's still some wording that I have to locate my notes from the meeting back in, I think it was 21 or 22, that we had, because it looks like there's some language that didn't get put into it. And that had to do with the materiality of damage, meaning that if there was damage, it was going to be reasonable costs, and that we would reimburse the Water District at their cost, not at some other cost, a retail cost, if you will.
I did find my copy.
So
Red and green one.
Purple and red.
yeah, and I can forward the latest version that the Water District had forwarded if you'd like to read it. There's a page and a half solely of indemnification information, a page and a half. It seems like it's overkill, but their concern originally was, and the reason for this agreement originally was because they had concerns with the town doing the work ourselves, which at the time was going to be about $60,000, was what our public works director had quoted to do the wall. And in fact, pretty much the way the wall has been engineered is what the public works director had said they were going to do. So, but in any case, the issue at the time was, they were not comfortable with that, and that's why we had that agreement. I sort of think that with their engineer is going to also review this agreement. So Stantec is going to look at, the engineering report. They're going to review that, and I would hope that we could, take some more things out of this agreement with the water district.
Chairman.
Go ahead.
So in the past, I think we've been discussing this maybe 3 years. We're right on the cusp of when we have to produce this. And they said, well, they're going to go back and meet and discuss it.
Right.
What happens if they don't get back to us in time? What are we going to do?
Mhm.
Because that's a very real possibility, because it has happened numerous times in the past. Yeah, we'll talk about it now. We don't like it, and boom, our deadline's up.
Year and a half we waited for them.
Really?
And they no replies
Nothing.
and then finally it was like, oh, well, we never got that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we're
We
waiting
did.
for the lawyer.
So they go, and I'm going to assume they have to do it at their water district meeting, which is only once a month.
That's
So
right, but
if
they
they
did
don't
indicate
hit it then, at their public water district meeting, are we dead in the water again for another year? And
John indicated they could hold a special meeting
Will they?
of their commissioners to review it.
I think we need to really, let not the ball drop on that, on our part, and encouraging it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure there's a meeting of the minds in terms of
What to be done?
who's going to pay for what. Our Warren article covers the construction described in the engineering report and resurfacing the road, and that's it.
So can we do our warrant? Sorry.
No.
Can we do our warrant article in such a way that if it is agreed upon by the water district, so we can at least have something there to show that, yeah, we're working on it. But they said, no, something like that. It's all contingent on approval of this.
I think that you could.
I think we need to get him in here and talk to him.
Well, that was going to be my suggestion. The commissioners and the board together.
So I'd like to go on record now again as saying that we shouldn't even be spending this money on that road. We should discontinue that section of road. It's been discontinued since what? Spring of 2024?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, no one is disenfranchised by that section of road not being used.
Can I raise my hand now and say that I'm disenfranchised? Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
But it's a throughway to a lot of people. It's a traffic way, plus the fact that people go down and use it for sledding and all of that, and you can't do that down there.
You can go up and use the next throughway up through past the schools, past the dormitory, between the game football field and the dormitories.
Yeah, and you take your life in your hand coming off of Peabody to School Street too in the mornings.
That everybody's been doing it for what? How many months? 9 months?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Why spend that money on that section of street? Why?
Whether we fixed it or not, what is that? does that wall still need to be fixed? It's still going to be, it's still being falling.
It's a
Not if there's
safety.
no traffic over it.
Or
What are you
spring
gonna do?
water
What
going
are you gonna
underneath.
do?
Yeah.
Leave the barriers up?
Well, I'd put barriers, but I'd bring them down further here and a little further that way, yeah. Yep, I'd block the street off, make a park out of it, make a little picnic area. I don't know.
According to John, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, that the wall is washing into their property. As he said, it was the town's issue that caused it. Again, it's history to me, but
We feel it's the school's water that's coming down on the town's
Nature.
right.
Academy
Hmm.
Street that's going down.
It's nature.
I still
Yeah.
think we need to,
Water flows downhill, remember?
yeah,
That's what I got.
I still think we need to go forward with it. I think I do.
I'm not in favor of closing that road, but
Yeah.
I am in favor of getting them in here and talking to them because they have put us off and put us off and put us off. They love to do this.
Right. Right.
Well, if I may suggest, because I didn't feel as though the last time the two boards met was very productive, to be honest. I think if the board is in agreement that that the town shouldn't pay for anything other than the what's already been detailed in the engineering report, and that if they would like to, still considering this agreement, that the two boards would sign for the indemnification and liability coverage, but otherwise, any other improvements would have to be at the cost of the water district. They would make it a lot simpler because then,
Was that not relayed to them already with the discussions that you've already had with them? Yes or no?
I think it was, but it wasn't definitive because the Board of Selectmen has to be the one to say,
And they're still saying that they want the wall paid for by the Board of Selectmen.
most certainly the
Okay.
wall and the resurfacing,
So-
but not. I don't think we ever considered that other portion of the wall as
Any
part of the
threat.
problem because it was an
That's the new
ancillary.
pipe. It's only-
Yeah, it's
But can you just? I'm a little confused. Can you describe to me where the water pipe is that they're talking about? How far down? Is that the one that's
So-
further?
Problem
It's in the
is,
road.
so the water
the
the
road.
water pipe is about.
So we have to
according
do a
John,
temporary.
No.
They, according to them, they have to do a temporary, but the pipe itself, the guardrail as you're going westbound.
Yep.
So if you're driving along there, the water pipe, he said, was about 4 to 5 feet from the guardrail. So it's more on the river side of the street than the Tilton School side of the street.
Okay.
So that was, that was the issue that they were anticipating, that they were going to have to put a temporary line in because of the amount of material that was going to be taken out, and then the compaction and the concern for their the preservation of their line.
But if we have the engineering study and they went through the entire study, they did the study, and they didn't identify that as being an issue.
That's right.
No, and in fact, the engineer came back after that discussion, and he drew a more detailed diagram of how the cut could be made by the contractor,
Yeah.
so that it would not impact their water main.
What's the issue?
It's right up to their water main,
the water
but
company.
it doesn't. Am I wrong,
No.
Scott?
No, you're correct.
No.
So can we just have them come in then?
Well, I think it would be it would save us time if the board
Mhm.
decided that we're just not going to pay for anything other than what we've already outlined in
But
the
if you
engineering.
message them
Okay.
that, okay, we're not paying for anything more than this, and then they come back with the message, okay, then we're not going to do this. And then we say, well, then, okay, we're going to close, we're going to do this. And then it could just banters back and forth. And then where are we? And what justice are we doing with the taxpayers? Well, this has gone on now for, like you said, spring of 2020.
Well, it's been closed since May
23.
of last year.
It's been closed since last year, but this has been going on since 2023.
Before that,
Yeah.
even, yeah.
All right. So we've been talking with them back and forth, and we should have had this all ironed out with them going forward. Now we have an engineering firm. Now we have going forward, all set, ready to go to town meeting, and they want more. No, thank you. Go ahead.
So if we, in good faith, have been producing all these different plans, we've been holding meetings, we've paid for engineers, and we've done this, and they keep not doing it, is there a way we can say we cannot assume liability for this because you're not acting in good faith to allow us to fix this? Because we've spent a lot of money, we've had engineers that produce it, and the water district will sit down at their meeting and say, no, we don't like it because we want our wall over here fixed too. I mean, what can we do?
You probably have to hire a lawyer, go to court, and get an injunction that allows us to fix the property.
Right.
Well, we can't fix it without their, their easement.
Right.
To get on their property to fix it.
Without a court order.
We can't fix it without their cooperation, one way or the other. I can tell you that they would say that the town delayed this for an inordinate period, and there was a period of delay when there was turnover in 23, it sat, and then there was some confusion about which was the most current agreement, since there had been such a long period of time with the water district. But bottom line is, until the board had picked an engineer to do this work and determine what the proper course of action was, we didn't have anything concrete to sit down with the water district about.
But we do now.
And that was just recently.
Right?
Yeah.
So can we put them on the schedule to get them in here?
Can. Absolutely can.
I mean, what do you think, Madam Chair?
Tim wants to go one more shot at talking with them first before they bring them in here, because he feels it would be detrimental for them to face the board again.
Oh,
I get it.
I mean,
Okay.
unless you're willing to say, okay, we're going to pay for all your repairs and we're going to fix your wall. I mean, Tim's right. It just
Okay.
isn't going to get us anywhere.
And he could negotiate a little bit better than the five of us.
Well,
Mm.
alriady then.
Am I correct?
Well,
Now I know.
I don't think there's much to negotiate here. It's more, just communicating and explaining the board's position, as well as I will forward the latest version that the water district forwarded to us to the board, so you can read this. But as I said, probably the majority of this is relating to liability and indemnification. But yeah, I'll do that.
Just let them know where we stand, or they can watch the tape.
What's our drop dead date on getting that article, and what do you think about putting it
Next
dependent on it?
next
Dependent
meeting.
You can go forward with your bond article.
Yeah.
And when it comes onto the floor, you can explain to them that there's been a holdup. I don't know if DRA would like that worded verbiage added to that, because it is a bond.
Yeah.
But if you stand up at town meeting and explain to them what's been going on and what we're still doing, the bond is what, 5 years?
10-year.
Damn.
No, permission to bond.
Oh, permission. Yeah. So once you have the bonding permission, it's a 5-year expiration. That's
Right.
correct.
That might be that backup plan.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, we've done every step.
We can. Right.
And we will be having a public
Tim's
hearing
gonna
on that bond on February 20th.
On February 20th, there will be a public hearing on the bond. All right. Thanks, Tim. One more try. Okay.
Last but not least is town properties.
Hmm.
Chuck Bodine, our building inspector, got me the last one at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to put them all together, but the gist that I'll give you is that he's looked at each one of them and indicated on the forms that, and I know, Madam Chair, you have some input here as well, as to what the lot is, and is it buildable, and is it marketable, and that stuff. The next step that I would think we would take is if we decide if we look at those and decide we want to include them and ask for permission to sell them, or decide we do want to sell them, that would be a board decision. So,
We already have the right to sell them.
right.
We're-
Okay. So, but each one he did look at and describe what's best, as whether or not it's buildable or otherwise. The High Street property, I was questioned about what we have invested in that. Tim has given us figures in the past, but if we were to take off the penalties, included in that would be the cost of what we spent on the auction costs and that stuff, but that would be roughly 30,000 without the penalties.
To sell that property?
Hmm.
That's what the
Wow.
town would need to recover.
So that's all the town would need to recover. It's 30 grand.
Why would we
Right.
take those costs off?
It's $29,906. So that includes the principal and interest from the onset, but it does not include the penalty that's permissible under RSA 8090F,
Yeah.
which is a 10% penalty.
And why wouldn't we include that?
It was just,
I
I
was
did
asked to get that figure
in all
without the penalty.
in the reports that you have from me, it shows it with the penalty and
Without.
Okay.
so there's a subtotal of the interest and what was due in principal, and then there's the penalty, and it shows the total due. But those are the figures.
So what did you say about that? Is it buildable?
Yes.
Do we have, did I hear you say you have to
We offered that to, go ahead.
assemble the information that he gave you?
Yeah,
And
I
then
haven't
we'll
had a
talk about it
chance.
next week?
Yeah, yes, I haven't had a chance to. I wanted to put it all together and I can email it to you. So,
John has it.
Go ahead, John.
So if on all these properties, talk about buildable or saleable.
right.
And one thing I've been trying to emphasize is talk to the owners if they would like to purchase,
The
like some of
abutting
these are just
properties.
little sections, they might be non-buildable,
Right.
but by them purchasing this extra 25 feet of land or all that, there's a couple little narrow pieces. It allows them to put a garage on their house because now
Right.
they have the room for the setback.
Right.
So that's an easy, fix right there. And
Right.
it gets it onto our tax maps. The other thing, if we're going to sell something at a lot, let's say, like the High Street lot, and have the two neighbors decide they want to expand their lots into it, there should be some type of easement that they can't re-subdivide it and sell it.
Right.
It's not like so they don't flip it. And one of
Right.
those would be is, it would be maintained as that. Because if it's going to be sold outright, it should be whatever the market will bear.
There. Right.
That's my thought anyway. So, and that gives the neighbors opportunities to buy into it. And
So if we take, I know that in the past, I know since I've been a selectman, sometimes we forgive interest and penalties, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we set a precedent by it. But now we're in a position where we sell the property or we offer the property and we tack on interest and penalty. But then we look at the other properties that were taken by tax deed. But how do we determine the value or the market value? I mean, do we go back 15, 20 years of interest and penalties on Simmons Court? How do we determine that? If we're going to do interest and penalties on this person, how do we determine that? We have a beach property up on someplace, Andrews, wherever it is, Ruby Lane, which is in the interest and penalty range. I mean, do we tack on that as well? That's what I want the board to start thinking about, it to be consistent and be with
Everybody's saying.
equitable,
Mhm.
because we have properties that we've had for 10 plus years that is now become marketable value. And we have properties that is within that 10 years that has become interest and penalties. So, what do we do? I mean, we made an offer to this person, but we included interest and penalties. And the price was too high. So, from what I understand, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
But specifically, which property?
High Street,
What was the price? $30,000 was
38 was offered
Right.
because it was interest and penalties.
So they thought it was worth less than that?
They didn't, I don't know. They didn't say. I didn't talk to them. I haven't talked to them since we had the discussion here with the Board of Selectmen. But we tacked on interest and penalties of
9,000, I think,
a little,
roughly.
almost $10,000, little over $9,000.
700.
Yeah, 8,700.
That's
So
a steal.
So
I'll give you 50 tomorrow.
Mhm.
when we've forgiven interest and penalties, it was in the original property owner that we took the deed from was trying to buy it back. These properties, that's not the case. The original property owners have not tried to come back, and in fact, we own some of these clear and outright. If we are going to sell these properties, we owe it to the taxpayers to get fair market value for these properties as much as we can. And I would say we do not forgive interest and penalty because it's not our money to forgive.
So when it's under the 10-year mark where we have to do interest and penalties, because we have some right here on railroad track to railroad track that's under 10 years that will be coming up, that's on that list there, will be interest and penalties plus wrecking a house and all of that. All of that goes into that. And then if it's over the 10-year mark, which is the RSA, right? Which is clearly the
Yes,
RSA
10 years.
is the 10-year mark, which I believe we're almost there with the High Street property.
This year, right?
June.
Yep.
Right. Then we do just fair market value. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, what is the fair market value? I mean, if we decide to sell the one up there off of Cedar Street,
Mm-hmm.
what's the fair market value?
We'll have to hire.
We don't know.
We had to get
But
a
Realtor.
realtor
Right.
involved.
I mean, I'm looking at,
Look at Wolf Road.
well, that's Funny you should say that.
I mean, I'm very interested in looking at Wolf Road. You got 5.8 acres or 5.9 acres.
5.790
Does it
acres.
go water?
And according to
Waterfront,
Avatar,
waterfront.
the parcel total is valued at $266,000.
Right. It's waterfront, goes right up to the waterfront,
Yeah, I
right?
know it, but
Right.
it's a lot of it's wet.
Mhm.
That's the question. That's I assume
Right.
we'll find out is how much is wet and how much is not. I mean, according to this, what Avatar has done, I don't see any wet.
Catherine, I was just going to give you what the assessed value was, but Pat makes a good point. If we look at fair market value, we might be wise to entertain a couple of one or two realtors to look at the pieces and say, hey, yes, you could get X amount from, and because the realtor would be interested in being the marketing agent, I'm sure. But that might be the way to go to find out exactly, should somebody question. But I think we need a determination which way you want to go.
Right.
Or the other,
Go ahead, John.
or the other thing is like public auction, you advertise it and whoever pays the most for it, you have a set $6,000 fee and it's gone.
That's the
It's
best way.
disposed of.
That's the best way.
And then, but, in hindsight of and things I've discussed in the past, like on High Street, that if the neighbors, or any neighbor, if they have a strip of land next to them, that they can increase their land by 20 feet because they would like to build a garage, which would be more tax value to the town. They'd be paying tax on that 20 feet.
Yep.
That would be.
I can tell you this, that the only discussion I've had is with Christine Hobart, Cindy Hobart,
Cindy.
and she would be interested. She is very interested in the High Street property. Spoke for her neighbor, said she is as well. But I
The only
think
thing is it has to be something so it's not bought at some cheap price and
Right.
then flipped.
right.
And
Well, they were willing to put a conservation easement on it the last time we spoke, 5 years ago or so, when they came in to the board.
and the Conservation Commission said they were not willing to take it because they had no value.
But they were willing to do that, is what I'm saying, is
They
they
would
didn't,
protect the property
to
if they
protect,
put that
but
on.
Right.
they
From
were
building.
willing to say, I'm not going to build on this property. I'm willing to say, this is going to be a green property forever and ever, period. So that's
And
what,
and
right.
that also defeats the purpose because then you don't get the tax value that you normally would off of
Fair market value.
fair market
All right.
tax value.
But we'll know more next week, right?
Right. I'll put them together and give you the assessed value of each one. So
well, they have the tax card, so they
Uh,
have the assessed value.
right. I was just going to put a cheat sheet together.
Okay.
So
Okay.
kind of like
so-
a poker hand.
All right. That's it.
That's it. Yes.
All right. So that's it for the evening then, right?
The
I have
chief.
Questions for Tim.
Oh,
I had a
okay.
question for Tim.
Chief? No? Oh, okay. Okay. I saw the chief
Yes.
come. I didn't know if he needed something from you folks.
All right. So, Catherine, go ahead first.
There's 2 documents in the to be signed folder. Both have to do with,
Software licensing
voting
for
equipment.
Yep.
One is
one's
contract
Dominion.
and general conditions for purchase of goods. I presume that is for the new voting machine,
Correct.
not the ADA,
That's correct.
the new voting machine. This is our half and the state's going to pay the other half or something?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, the other one is a software license agreement. I don't see any monetary value in this.
So
What is this for that machine as well?
right. So the licensing agreement is to recognize that they own, that Dominion Systems owns the software, that we can't modify it, so on and so forth. It's all the terms and conditions related to their software.
Yeah, can't copy it, can't,
That's right.
gotta give it all back. And yeah, it's theirs. It's clearly
Yep.
theirs. All right, thank you. I wasn't really sure, like I said, if it was that. I thought it was. But
Yep.
thank you for clarifying
You're
that.
welcome.
I will now sign it.
John?
Tim, I didn't know if, did we stop doing the dashboard? I haven't just seen anything on there. We used to have all the stuff up there.
No, it's all there.
Okay.
It should all be
I
there.
gotta update it, yeah.
Yep. Maybe just
'Cause
refresh.
Even though I looked, yeah, I'll try refresh.
Yep. No, everything's there. In fact, more and more is there. So, yep.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Do we have any public online that wish to ask the Board of Selectmen a question? Hearing none. Chief, do you have any questions for us? No? Okay,
Quick announcement.
go ahead.
Don't forget, if the board is downstairs, if anybody wants to sign up, any committees or boards or that's all. When is that up till?
Tomorrow at 5.
Tomorrow o'clock, 5 o'clock, or tomorrow 5
Yep.
o'clock?
Okay, so that's it. Joe's not here, so somebody's going to step in for Joe for new business.
Yep.
All right, Eric.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion has been made. Anybody seconding it?
Second?
Okay.
All right. Catherine beat you to it, Joe. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.